morning, everybody, and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
My voice is back.
Who's that?
Yay!
That is Fratang
Oh, yeah. Okay.
from the,
Who is he protecting us from? That's what I really want to know.
well, everybody. Try to mess
Are
with
we
that.
playing a real version of Zombicide, and this is our turret defense?
This is from Warhammer
Zombicide.
40K. This is an Elder Titan. So if you played Warhammer 40K back in the days when I played it, I don't know if these things still exist or are used. They probably are. This was also super, super expensive. A fan gave this to us, and Roy paid in it. Roy Kennedy! Woo! Anyway, these were the equivalent of basically a whole army.
Like point build
Yeah, like
wise?
point build wise. Like you could take one of these against an entire army.
Wow. So you essentially are the boss in the boss battle.
Yeah, I would like them to be part of an army, I suppose. I like to each side play with one, but I
They
never
just
could
open
afford
up their
one.
hip and some minions fall out, some other
I
robots.
guess. Look at those guns this thing has. That's all he has is those two gigantic guns.
Can he
Yes.
do two people?
It's guns on the shoulders, too.
Oh, his guns on his shoulders? Oh, little
Oh,
guns.
yeah.
You just stamp on the bad guys, it's fine.
It's true.
That's true. Kicking.
You just
melee
do the
damage.
Star Wars leg trip and he falls over and then game over, right?
We just rewatched Civil War. You guys see this really old movie called Empire Strikes Back? That line just cracked me up.
It is an old movie at this point in time. Anyway, so one thing that's going on that we want to tell you folks about is the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund auction is underway. Jack Vassell Memorial Fund is a charity that helps gamers in their time of need. You can find out more about it at jackvassell.org. So the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund, which has about 250 items on it at this point and growing every day, people put up board games and all sorts of things, not just board games, but I just saw some stamps were on there, some National Park stamps, a Roman coin.
Some people auction off hey, I will paint a set of something for you. It's just, there's a lot of cool different things that you can bid on, and most importantly, it's for charity. It's for helping people.
Right, so you can be involved in this. It's on Board Game Geek, or you can go look on my Facebook. I point to a link to it. But this is, you can help out in three ways. One, by telling people about it. Two, by putting up items for auction. And three, by bidding on items. So there's all kinds of really cool stuff there. So that's that's going on. Other than that, it's a normal week, finally.
Yay!
Yes.
Sort of. My lack of voice has spread.
That's true.
You'll hear lacks of voice. You guys are fine, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Sucks to be you. You get to hear me all week.
And Roy, your voice is here, right?
Yep.
For now.
That's four of us with voices.
Your voice is still not 100% Tom.
You think so?
Sounded a little different.
Yeah, you definitely sound.
Yeah.
You're still recovering.
Maybe I just forgot my voice sounds like. I don't think it's out.
Well, you hear yourself internally more than you hear yourself from your ears.
Yeah, you're 90% there. You're 90% there.
I'm more than 90. I feel
You're
amazing.
internally.
Amazing. Anyway, I will sing a song to prove. No, I will not.
Sing a song of sixpence.
And
A pocket
Not,
full of
not,
rye.
not that song. Why are we singing fairy? What are those songs called? Nursery rhymes.
Nursery rhymes.
That's there. That's a gross song anyway, if you think
It's a
about
weird
it.
song. My daughter liked
Almost
that song
all
when she was
nursery
little.
rhymes are kind of like
Gross,
They're
grotesque.
strange.
Bring Around to
Macabre.
Rosie,
Yeah.
London Bridge is Falling Down, that one. I think the guy stuck his thumb in
Georgie Porgy Puddin'. No. That one's probably
little
weird
boy.
too, though.
I don't know. You know what? We're just blabbing now. Let's get started with this episode.
Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Maple University and the Dice Tower. Today we actually have one of Michael Kisling's The Border. I believe this was released last year. This plays 1 to 4 players, and Michael Kisling, you know, the designer of Azul, Miyabi, a lot of other great games, a different type of Azul. So this one is Roll and Write. Now, before you say, oh, there are too many Roll and Writes out there, there is a little bit of something different still that is still enjoyable.
Yeah, so this one is it's a lead and follow, but not in a predictable drafting sort of way. So you've got a Yahtzee roll, you're trying to get the best that you can for your personal board as the leader. But anything you can't legally place goes to your opponents, who have less restrictive placement rules for putting those leftovers. So it ends up being this interesting little. You kind of reach for the sun,
Yeah.
and end up
And then like, bow. That happens a lot to me.
end up in the dirt. So. No, so it was a neat little game. It had a bit of a Copenhagen roll and write feel about it because that had a similar thing, lead and leftover.
Yeah. This is basically you need to cross over and enclose the border of 9 different landmarks or things. The first player that does it gets higher points, the next ones get lower points, so a bit like Welcome 2 as well. It's a really fun game.
Yeah, it's a clever little game. It's probably a little bit, it's maybe a little bit dry for a lot of audiences, but I think the mechanics hold together well.
That is the border. Let us know what you think, and thanks for watching.
Assalamu alaikum. Blackout Hong Kong is a game by Alexander Pfister in which you face a blackout inside Hong Kong and you have to provide supplies, provide medical facilities, handle emergency situations when there has been a complete blackout in Hong Kong. And the game came with a 5-mission campaign in the rulebook, but they were spawn missions with not really any kind of detailed storyline or something. That's why I made Black Sky a story mode campaign based upon those missions. So it's a 5-mission story mode, again using the 5 missions from the game, but now stitched together in a coherent story mode in which you get to find out that what caused that blackout and who may be behind it, what kind of political struggle may be behind it, or maybe it was a terrorist attack, or maybe it was something else, because the story is going to change based upon how you play the game. So if you're interested in that, then get the Blackout Hong Kong story mode from the BGG file section under Blackout Hong Kong. That's it for me. Happy gaming.
So oddly enough, 30 years ago is not much better than 40 years ago.
I noticed that when I was looking through. I was like, wow, there's not as many standout games.
Now when we get to 20 years ago, it's amazing. 2003. And we're not going to get to 10 years ago because the year will be over before we're done with that. But we did a top 10 list on that recently where you can go back and see great games from 2013, which is still weird to say was 10 years ago. We're all getting old. Oh!
Oh, we're all spilling juice.
I'm old! Oh, my head is shaking. That was, I don't know what happened there.
I don't know.
There's a benefit to drinking mostly water.
I'm blaming it on your voice.
Good thing I don't drink grape juice and all that.
There's definitely a yellow tinge to that. Do you have,
It's water.
do you have Mio in it or something?
Yeah, pineapple.
Oh,
Oh,
Pineapple.
actually,
Pineapple crush.
pineapple, not juice.
that sounds really good, actually.
It is really good. Okay, so today we're going back 30 years ago for the first time, and we're going to be on 30 years ago for like the next 10 weeks or so. So today we're starting with the biggest game, the game that defined gaming as a whole. In fact, no other game, I would argue, period, has had as big of an impact on the hobby. That's Magic the Gathering. The only other game that could come close to having as big of an impact would be Dungeons and Dragons. And then a third would be Catan.
I feel like that's a pretty big third, and not denigrating Catan at all, because Catan was huge for Euro gaming, board gaming, German gaming, however you want to put it, but like, stores are built on Magic the Gathering.
Well, sure, and that's the thing. Whenever you talk about how much you hate Magic the Gathering, don't forget how much money it put into the hobby and allowed all your favorite stores to exist and your many companies and the number of designers. Oh man,
It's the
so many
lifeblood
designers who
of so
used to
many
be Magic champions or played it. Now, I read an article in 1993, 1994. I forget what year it was. I read an article about Magic the Gathering in Games Magazine. I read Games Magazine religiously. I read all their reviews. I remember reading the first time I read about Carcassonne. I read a lot about these games. I was like, what are these games they're talking about? But I read about Magic, and it blew my mind because I was a baseball card collector, and then I collected other cards that weren't baseball cards. I collected Desert Storm cards of all things. Why are you mocking that? It was an interesting thing to collect. I had General Schwarzkopf. Anyhow, Stormin' Norman was the name of the card. Anyhow, I like the idea of collecting. That was always a big thing. I always got a big draw out of buying a pack of baseball cards, 40 cents back in the day, 5 for $2. Getting baseball cards, opening them, and looking for your favorite players.
That was the most grandpa moment that you've ever had, Tom. 40 cents back in the day it was.
They were 40
Back
cents.
in 19
40 cents for a pack of Tops, and this was in 1986, actually.
I've never been a collector. Like I just have
Sorry,
not.
I got caught up in my nostalgia.
No, I've never had that. So for me, CCGs have always been like that just sounds like a lot of money.
Wait, you never collected anything in your life? Like stamps, coins?
I had music boxes from thrift stores when I was a kid, but that was more my mom collecting them for me kind of thing.
Did you ever collect anything?
I had a small little Pokemon card collection, right? Because I was the ripe prime age for the Pokemon mass marketing machine. And I was like, these cards are stupid. All my classmates really care about these Pokemon cards. And someone gifted me a Charmander. And I was like, I need like 300 more of these, please. I don't know what happened. But yeah, that was like the thing that I collected. And I didn't really love it either. But I was like, I want more for some reason. So I've kind of, because of that, I think I've been like, nah, I don't really need to get into any collectible game.
But I think it's ingrained in people in general. People have collected record albums. They collect books.
Oh,
People
sure.
collect stuff. People like having a collection of things. But the idea of randomized packs, which wasn't new to Magic, it came in baseball cards and things like
Yeah.
that. But to put it in a game blew my mind. And then when I heard that some were rarer than others, I was like, oh, that balances the game. Because that was the big push. The push was, Chris is better than me, but I have a rarer card than Chris. So now we're even. But what in actuality is, Chris is richer than me.
Yes.
Therefore, it don't matter how good I am. Now, to be fair, they've worked on that over the years, and you can play Magic competitively without spending too much money. But you have to be pretty smart and savvy and trading and all kinds of stuff.
You spend the arm, but you don't have to spend the arm and the leg, right?
There is that. But I mean, again, it is a good hobby. Look, there's a lot of problems with Magic the Gathering. The collectability is a big deal. The actual main mechanism of Magic the Gathering, the tapping of lands for mana, there is a few problems with that. You don't draw a lot of lands in your first hand, or you draw too many. That can throw the game off a little bit. And definitely, deck building is, I don't know, Roy, what would you say? It's 50% of the game or more?
More.
Yeah, more, right? And so all that stuff's in there, but it's still fun because it's fun to take a card and figure out how you can use that card. Mm-hmm. And the concept of attacking the other player wasn't done very much before this. And so Magic the Gathering, which was inspired by Cosmic Encounter, but took this to a new level. So again, it inspired 200,000, maybe like 200 other CCGs in 94, 95. You could buy a collectible card game anywhere, including the amazing Overpower.
I mean, there was The Simpsons, a collectible card game. I mean, so many things came out because of this. I think I don't.
Did you
really
collect that one?
No, I didn't know about it until only like a
It did
year
have
ago.
Storm and Norman in it.
Fair.
Why are
right?
people mocking Storm and Norman? I think it's really
I
funny.
love the name of that
We don't
card.
really nickname Shedrills these days.
We also don't make collectible cards of like the war on drugs.
Well, there might be. I don't know. But
I got just say no.
I also collected Looney Tune cards that was a whole comic strip. If you collected all of them, I'd be like, what happened
that's
between
kinda cool.
this panel and this panel? Yeah, until you don't know.
Until you don't know, and you're like, I have to make it up.
It doesn't work anymore. People just go online.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but what I will say about Magic the Gathering, not my favorite game. I have played it a few years ago for the first time, and I haven't really played it since. I like the idea more of like the commander decks and like the cubes, and I like that they've still made it marketable. They still made it something that you can purchase, and you still are like, oh, a new versus set. I want to purchase that, but it's kind of more of a self-contained thing. So I like that Magic has adapted. It's not just that collectability, kind of that FOMO-driven type of a thing, but I still think that even if you don't love Magic the Gathering in any of its forms, it's undeniable the impact that it's had on gaming. Like, games still to this day come out, and you're like, this is a Magic the Gathering style game, or something to that effect. Radlands, you look at that. Radlands wouldn't exist without Magic.
That'd be interesting. The number of games that wouldn't exist without Magic would be humongous. It also made fantasy a viable. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons did a little bit, but Dungeons and Dragons was always fringe. It was always fringe. It still is fringe a little bit. It's not like everyone's playing Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, Stranger Things is pushing it a little bit more
really
mainstream, sort of, but it's still fringe. Magic was not as nearly fringe. Everybody was playing it. People who never would touch Dungeons and Dragons would be like, fine, I'll play a game of it, and then they were hooked.
Yeah.
So other games came out, Star Wars, Star Trek, SimCity. Everyone remembers that one, right? SimCity to CCG. I bought a couple packs of that, and I was really annoyed because I could have spent that money on other packs.
Do you get to send tornadoes into other people's?
I don't remember how the
areas?
game plays. It's not. It's. I think it's one of the worst ranked games on Board Game Geek. So.
Wow.
That is a claim to fame all on its own.
So anyway, Magic the Gathering, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad people still have a lot of fun playing it. I don't play it nearly as much these days. I think in the last 15 years, they've really honed it. Mark Rosewater did a really good job. He's the developer of, it's like a science when they come out with these sets. But anyhow, that's games from 20 years ago.
This is a segment where we take a look at a board game based on a popular IP, and I tell you the IP and the mechanisms attached. Today we're looking at Zombie Crisis. If the die ever goes below 1, you will lose the game as the zombies will come in and overtake your establishment. First thing you do each round is take one of these scenario cards. You're going to do what it says. Find the traitor and place him in Stone Hill. Reshuffle the deck if needed. So then the scout player will draw 3 cards from the deck, and he will place them face down wherever he sees fit. Now the scout player can look at 1 to 3 of these cards. If he had to place additional cards down, he could. They would just go behind the other ones. So what he'll be able to do, the other player will be able to take these and place these out wherever he wants. You could put multiples on the same one, or I could put 1 on each. Then any face down cards are then flipped over and will begin to attack them as the game goes on. Now any colors that match will automatically kill. So let's say I had an example where the red was there, I put a red weapon down, doesn't matter the numbers aren't there, he would immediately kill that zombie. But that wasn't the case here, now was it? So let me pretend like this card had been played here. So it is 4, the zombie here is 4, and that would be enough to kill it. Now there is a Zombie Crisis app game about shooting zombies and going through mazes and stuff. This takes that, makes it into a tower defense game, so in that regard, it doesn't really match up. In that game, you're kind of going around and you're popping your screen to kill the zombies. In this one, they're coming at you more like Plants vs. Zombies. So that is a little bit of a disconnect right there. But other than that, the idea of the zombies and shooting them and using the weapons and trying to survive, all of that plays into it. This is an interesting 2-player game because you're really playing one half each, and you're just not allowed to communicate. That's instantly going to turn people off, but it kind of is weird and interesting how it works. It's almost like one person is up in a tower kind of looking down and seeing what's happening and trying to communicate to you to how to set things up. It's kind of niche, it's kind of neat, it's kind of something out of the ordinary of what you're going to see. I think it's very unique.
Hey, I'm Jordan. I love card games. I love trick-taking games. I've talked about some trick-taking games on here before, and Cat in the Box is one of my new trick-taking kind of obsession games. I've really enjoyed this one. It has a similar engine to a game like Spades, where you are, you're playing tricks, you play a card, highest card's gonna win. There is a trump suit, and this one is red, and Spades, of course, it's Spades. And you have some bidding in here, so you are guessing how many tricks and how many cards you're going to be collecting throughout the rounds. So it feels kind of it's rooted in there. But what's interesting about this one is that the cards themselves do not have colors. And you have this shared board amongst all the players at the table, and as you're playing cards, you are assigning each of these cards a color and or a suit. And you are slowly discovering almost what cards you have in your hand or what cards you don't have in your hand. Because if somebody played the blue 3 and you have another 3 in your hand, well, it's no longer the blue one, it's now green, yellow, or red. And so you're kind of piecing together what cards you have in your hand as the game is going on. And that wrinkle, it seems little, but it's such a cool hook. It is so interesting. I've played this with a ton of people, especially at my church, who play a lot of trick-taking games, rook, euchre, spades, hearts, things like that. And this one has gone over super well because it's so fascinating how it comes together. So, Cat in the Box, really, really enjoy this one. Really awesome trick-taking game. And Jordan, thanks.
All right, so Dice Tower this week, like I said, we're back to normal. We're going to do a few interesting things from Dice Tower West. We're going to have a Dice Tower West blog go up. And we're going to have Dice Tower West. We recorded a top 5 list there. Now, be warned, not amazing quality. But
This is terrible.
and the list is terrible.
Thanks for that boost of confidence, Roy.
You meant audio quality.
Yeah, the audio quality. So, I mean, it's that or nothing at all, folks. We can't do amazing quality at Dice Tower West. It's for the people who are there. But we have it, and that will be going up this week. Also, all our normal live shows will be up, and we're reviewing some games. What kind of games? Are we doing a pile of something else?
No pile this
No
week.
pile.
That turned out to be a bit of effort, but I think people liked it, the pile of Pandemic we did last week. But I know that, let's see, we've got Bamboo, the new DeVere game coming out. We're going to be reviewing that.
The new Twilight Struggle, the mini Twilight Struggle,
For Babies, Red Sea Conflict in the Horn of Africa.
Yeah, that's
it's got a long title.
It's not quite for babies, but yes, it's like a mini Twilight Struggle. Amanda Kidd taking a look at Rolling Heights. So there's just a bunch of little reviews.
No drinking games this week?
No drinking games this week with the kids. Z's going to be on in 30 minutes. Playing live, and Mike is doing our Q&A today at noon. And then at the table, where we have Marianne DeWitt from Fireside Games, from Castle Panic and things like that.
Yep.
So there's a lot of live things going on today. Tomorrow we're playing Ecosphere live, so that will be tomorrow morning. And yeah, there's just lots of live stuff. So come join us for all that this week.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Now I'm going to talk to you about something relatively topical. It's just sort of happened as I'm recording this, and that is that Brass Birmingham has overtaken Gloomhaven. Now, why is this important, and why is this, more importantly, not important? Well, Brass Birmingham is in my top 100. It's one of my favourite games, but I don't think it's a game for everyone, and this is why I'm saying it's important, because it shows that, you know, gaming people change their minds and stuff. Things grow over time. It's not a brand new game. It's been out for a number of years. But also the fact that I wouldn't ever introduce a new person to board games with Brass Birmingham. I don't care if you really like that period in history. I don't care if you're from Birmingham. It's not really going to be an entry sort of game, and for many people it probably doesn't deserve a spot in your collection. And that's because Board Game Geek skews to heavier, weightier games. And by that I mean they like a lot of complexity, they like all of those choices and the ability to build out stuff and feel really chunky, crunchy decisions. Often you'll see that throughout the top 100. There's very few, if any, light games. You know, the games like Ticket to Ride that get you into the hobby and you can just play on an evening. And I just want to make sure that people don't see it and go and buy it just because it's hit that ranking. Certainly not new people to the hobby, because it might put them off thinking, wow, I can't learn this sort of complexity. If this is what board games are, I don't want in, because there's so many fun board games out there for everyone. That one just might not be for you, even though it's great. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen, the Board Game Librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes with my next chapter issue of From the Page to the Table, where I pair books and board games together that share a common theme. This week we're going to look at a recent book club pick called The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentile. This is an Australian author who is writing a book about a crime that happens at gasp, a library, at the Boston Public Library. So we have 4 main characters, and one of them, this is not a spoiler, is the killer. So you learn about that. What's kind of unique and different about this book, however, is that it's a book within a book. So what game has a lot of crime going on in it? That would be Chronicles of Crime. You can see my library copy here. This is a game for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, 60 to 90 minutes. So I featured other Chronicles of Crime games before with 1400 and 1900. I really like these games because I like the solving aspect of it, and that you feel like you're actively doing something on your turn too. And the way that Lucky Duck has incorporated the app, I think, is so seamless and really industry leading here. And for those of us who grew up on like Nancy Drew mysteries or Hardy Boys mysteries, I think that kind of scratches that itch. And if you're a mystery lover too, or someone who, you know, has your crime shows that you really love to watch, Chronicles of Crime is a great game to play if you're that kind of person. That's all for this week, friends. Happy breakfast.
Welcome to Best in the Shelf, where we take a look at a random shelf from the Dice Tower Library, because that's what I determined it's going to be. Here's that random shelf. All right, everybody, here's our shelf we're taking a look at today, 23A. This is my racing game shelf, or actually I have a shelf and a half of racing games. There's a lot more racing games than that, but these are the ones that people are playing. Rallyman GT from the now out of business Holy Grail, but if you like rally racing, this is a game for that. Flamme Rouge, a bicycle racing game. Charioteer, Race for Glory in Ancient Rome. That's a new one. That's a good chariot racing game, a lot of fun. Thunder Alley, another GMT game with drafting, very well done. Thunder Rolls, which sounds like a diet, but not. This is from Richard Launius. There's another new one. There's several new racing games here. Then we have Formula D, one of the most famous of all the racing games, next to Formula E, which is the opposite of famous amongst racing games. You're racing elephants here. Dodo's Riding Dinos, which is the closest thing to Mario Kart, the board game. Camel Up, which one the Spiel des Jahres, where you're betting on camels that are racing. Divinity Derby, kind of a similar situation where there's like Pegasus and other mythical beasts racing. Unicorn Fever, a great racing game in which you are affecting the race by poisoning the unicorns and such. Heat, Pedal to the Metal, the hottest racing game around right now. Very, very popular game from the same folks who made Flamme Rouge. Reifenbleit, this is a bicycle racing game that is roll and move, but really well done. And then Wacky Races, the board game based on the old cartoon from Warner Brothers. So that's the shelf. It says Warner Brothers on the side. I know that it's Hanna-Barbera, but
yeah, I guess Warner Brothers. Yeah, because they own.
Bought them. Yeah, whatever. Hanna-Barbera. Okay.
Yeah, Hanna-Barbera is not like that major mega corporation at this point. So,
have you played all of those, Tom?
I have.
So.
Yes. My favorite racing game is on the next shelf, but on that shelf for me, I guess Heat. Probably. Heat's new, and I don't mean to be cold with the new, but Heat is really good.
I've not played Heat.
Well, you haven't played Heat
No,
yet?
I haven't played
That's
Heat.
on you.
That is on.
I took pictures of Heat, but I didn't play it.
Yeah, Heat's my favorite on that shelf. But
Yeah.
What's yours?
It would be Dodo's Riding Dinos. I think that's
pretty solid.
Fun, utter chaos. It's great.
That's pretty close for me too. Yeah.
I like that shelf a lot. Straight up, I think racing games are fun. I think there's a lot of bad ones out there, but that shelf is full of really good ones.
Even Wacky Races, do you like that one a lot? Or
Wacky Races is really light.
Okay.
It's almost like a kid's game. Almost. Maybe it is a kid's game. Whatever. It's like a family style game. Very, very light. That's the weakest one on that shelf, but it's still quick and fun. I have a low tolerance these days to play a racing game that's long.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like Heat, very quick, snappy Quick snappy turns?
Quick snappy turns.
Quick, snappy
See, I gotta
turns.
get back. I'm trying to make it happen. Dodo's Riding Dinos, simultaneous reveal, super fun, great. That Charioteer game that we reviewed not long ago, I think more people should be playing that one. That one's really fun.
What
And of
is-
course, sorry?
I was gonna say, what is that? What is that like book game? That's like a kids game. That's a racing game. The Tortoise and the Hare.
Oh
kind of
yeah,
thing.
the yellow book line one.
Yeah.
Now there are 2 of those, and Tortoise and Hare is not. So there's 2 different kinds of racing games. There's a racing game where you're racing,
Yeah.
and then there's one where they're racing and you're betting
Betting
on
on them.
That's definitely more of a betting
Yeah.
one, sort of where you're at least trying to pick who's going to win.
Just like Camelot.
Camelot's in
Yeah,
that
it's another one
category.
of
So is the Unicorn Fever
Yeah.
is in that category.
Yeah, there's a few of those I'd like to play, Tom. I never played Right from Bright. And I've never played the Unicorn Fever, so.
Well, Unicorn Fever has been replaced for me a little bit by, I think, the game on the next shelf. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, right.
Anyway, that's Best of the Shelf 23A. Let's keep moving.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my segment, A Board Game in 1,000 Pieces. So, today we are going to look at Maleficent from Villainous. Maleficent's goal is it to put a curse on every location on her tableau, and you would do this with the help of, for example, green fire, that's one of the curses, or an event like disappearing, a henchman like her raven Diablo, or a gadget like the spinning wheel. So you as her opponent can spoil her plans by drawing something from her destiny deck like Aurora, or the Sword of Truth, or the fairies. Okay, then that's the game, that's the jigsaw. Let's see how it goes. Thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in more jigsaw stuff, you can find me on YouTube and Instagram by the name Sue Burgundy. Thank you very much, but have a nice day.
Hello, my name is Aaron and welcome to One Word, One Question. Today's word is roll. And the question is, how do you prefer to roll your dice? Let's actually cut to some table footage to show the options. So, as always, share your answers in the comments. I look forward to reading them. And if you'd like to see more videos, consider subscribing to Board Games, Bricks, and Hobbies. Take care. Bye.
All right. Today we're taking a look at Everybody Wins, which is not true unless you're playing cooperative. 4 decades of the greatest board games ever made, James Wallace. James Wallace is an award-winning game designer, which I don't even know what that means anymore. Does that mean you just have to design a game and it wins an award somewhere?
I assume
That is what
any award would
award-winning-
count.
Yeah.
What game has he designed?
All right, I'll
Well,
look
it's
that
not going
up.
to be in this book because this book is about Spiel des Jahres.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of a weird thing. So this is about the Spiel des Jahres winners. It's called that. It doesn't have the Spiel des Jahres logo on it because I think you have to pay to put that logo in something. It might be. No, I'm
I think your
serious.
game has to win, and this book didn't win, so it didn't get a logo.
Yeah, like he has them very small here. I just find out. I mean, so this book is called 4 Decades of the Greatest Board Games Ever Made, and then it's going to be weird if you read it going into that and say, well, where is such and such a game? Because it's not in that. He actually mentions that at the very end in his epilogue here.
Yeah,
of
he does have
things.
some honorable mentions.
No board games?
Is it James Wallace Gray? because he designed a game called Crazier 8.
Nope, that's not the guy.
Okay. Nope,
Anywho.
I'm not sure.
This is a good book, though. I'm making some fun of it. It takes you through each. This is Rummikub. This is the 1980 winner. It shows some nice pictures, gives some stats here on the side of it, tells you the other games that could have won, and talks a little bit about it. It's well written. It's definitely a coffee table book.
Yeah. I like that he like highlights some of his own quotes so that if you're just flipping through looking at games, you're like, oh, this is generally what he thinks about this game or something interesting about this game. So I like that.
I don't disagree with him on much of his opinion. He's fine. It's nice. I just don't know who exactly the book is for. It's like I don't know that I'd recommend this book for a non-gamer.
If you were a non-gamer and you came into someone's house and you sat down and they were doing something, finishing dinner, and you grabbed this book, would it be interesting to you?
But it talks to you as if you are a gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Is it's definitely, I think it's more geared towards gamers for sure, and I like his writing. I guess when he talks about these things, it's done in a way that it's not. It doesn't just feel like I could have looked it up online, right? These aren't Wikipedia objective level entries on these things. He is kind of pulling together some different people's quotes and his own thoughts on the games and whatnot. So it is a pretty pleasant read, I think.
I agree. It's a nice book. It works well. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't mind having a book like this that just shows a bunch of great games that I could give to somebody and be like, hey, this is a cool book about games. And they'd read it and then they'd come back to me and be like, I really want to play this one. I don't think anyone's coming to me and be like, I want to play Alhambra because of the hornet's nest that it kicked in 2003.
Tell me more.
I played Alhambra because of Will Wheaton. Alhambra.
I misspelled Wallace. There you go. So James Wallace, game designer, the founder of Space.com. It really is space with 3 E's or 3 A's.
I see that.
3 A's.
What games has he designed?
This is on RPG Geek, which.
Okay, well that's true.
So
Then maybe it's RPGs I don't know about. I'm gonna start saying award-winning. Hey, I'm about to win an award. Can I start saying that now?
The award-winning game reviewer Tom Vassell.
That'd be super. I can't do that. I can't do that. That's nonsense. Okay.
I do like the book a lot.
Can you
It's
do
fun
that
to
if
look
you
through all
provide your
the-
own awards for other things? That I feel like is a weird. There you go.
Tom Vass, an award-giving game. All right. Well, anyway, let's keep moving.
Hey everybody,
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
from Ryan Bethany Board Game Reviews.
All right, today we're talking about Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This is a pandemic system game taking place in Star Wars Clone Wars. So in this game, this is a full cooperative game. We are taking on the role of Jedi, taking on the separatist army of all these different droids. There are 4 villains in the game, basically 4 different scenarios that you're going to be playing against. Every time you play, you choose a different scenario. It's got its own win conditions, own ways to defeat them. As well, all the different Jedi have special abilities. You're going to be rolling the dice. You're going to be drawing cards. It's going to feel very familiar to Pandemic, but at the same time, have quite a bit different from Pandemic going on.
That is actually nice for me because I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I don't hate Star Wars. It's just you can't say you're a fan and then not know anything. So I'm just not a fan. But it's nice that it has all those similarities to Pandemic because it was a game that I was able to easily play and easily learn while it's still feeling completely different at the same time. So it was really unique like that for me that I knew this game, but I didn't actually know this game. And that's how I was able to play it. And our 9-year-old loves this game.
Yeah, this is a perfect time period for her. She loves the Bad Batch and the Clone Wars shows. So all the different cards in this game, all the different planets, all the different heroes, and those kinds of things. She knew them all, and it was great to see her. It's like, oh, there's Rex, and there's Commander Cody, or there's whoever. There's Utapau. Remember what happened on Utapau, Dad? Like, oh, yeah.
I have no idea what Ryan's saying right now. None.
So we bonded over all the Star Wars things. But again, like Bethany said, you don't need to be a Star Wars person to like this. That being said, even if you're not a Pandemic person, you don't like the normal game of Pandemic, or if the Pandemic theme, hits a little too close to home over the past couple of years, this is a great way to kind of feel some of those same experiences and have those gaming moments cooperatively without having a completely different theme over the top of it.
Well, if you want to hear more from us, you can find us on YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Until then, this is Ren and Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye everybody.
Guys.
All right, well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for watching Board Game Breakfast. Join us in 20 minutes for Z playing What's Happening Live, and then Mike at noon. But until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy East Yee.
Oh, I'm Chris.
On the east side of the room.
West Yee. And Tom, you're the Berlin Wall in between us.
Let's move on.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.